Chapter 102 Sudden Traitor. Looking for me? Mo Fan said, feeling increasingly puzzled. Oh, you don't know? It's like this. This calamity was caused by the Black Vatican. Not only did they lure the Darkwing Wolf over, they are planning on luring even more commander-level magical beasts with the use of the underground Holy Spring to completely eradicate Bo City, Bai Yang said to Mo Fan gravely. So it was the Black Vatican, those things that can't even be called animals. Shui Mesheng said, indignant at the injustice. Vice Captain Lin Yuxin should have handed the underground Holy Spring to you, right? Bai Yang continued. Mo Fan didn't reply. He was just looking at Instructor Bai Yang. Bai Yang looked at Mo Fan up and down. He was wondering whether this thing had been properly protected before he continued. Give the underground Holy Spring to me. I'll immediately deliver it to Boss Zhongkong. This thing is extremely important. If it lands in the hands of the Black Vatican, then our Bo City is finished. Everyone's gaze also landed on Mo Fan. They had never thought that Mo Fan was actually guarding such an important thing. Mo Fan, so you were actually secretly protecting the underground Holy Spring. Fortunately, we have met up with Instructor Bai. Give the underground Holy Spring to him, and we should also hurry to the safety shelters, Shui Mesheng said. Bai Yang was so excited that he took a few steps forward. He practically wanted to snatch the underground Holy Spring from Mo Fan's hands. Unfortunately, he didn't see where the underground Holy Spring was. Mo Fan attentively watched Bai Yang and said, "It is also very safe with me. It's better if I personally give it to Boss Zhongkong. Please hurry and guide us on the way, Instructor Bai Yang." Bai Yang was clearly stunned, followed by his face filling with a smile. That makes sense. It was clear that Bai Yang hadn't finished talking. He slightly stopped. The warm smile he had on his face instantly froze. His gaze suddenly displayed an ominous glint. His face actually seemed somewhat twisted. "Then, you can go and die," Bai Yang coldly said. As his voice faded, the incredibly meek spirit wolf suddenly took a big stride toward Mo Fan. Its sharp claws were raised. It was actually going to slam right into Mo Fan. As this unexpected thing happened, everyone was completely dumbstruck. Mo Fan! Joman cried out in alarm, yet she could only helplessly watch as the spirit wolf's heavy claw was about to seize Mo Fan's life. "Instructor Bai, what are you doing?" Shui Mesheng shouted loudly. Bai Yang completely ignored him. His spirit wolf didn't have the slightest intention of being lenient. Not a single student would be able to survive an attack from this distance. Swoosh! As the claws slammed down, it seemed to carry the anger of Bai Yang within it. After all, his previous spirit wolf was killed by Mo Fan, and now he finally had the opportunity to take revenge for that. Naturally, taking revenge was just one part of it. The underground Holy Spring was the more important reason. If he gave it to the Red Cloak Deacons, then this Bo City would also. How is this possible? Bai Yang was expecting the boy's blood to dye his entire body. However, a solid bone scythe shield was erected right in front of Mo Fan. The spirit wolf's claws slammed onto the bone scythe shield, causing both Mo Fan and the shield to be struck flying without claiming his life. Bone scythe shield. Bai Yang clearly remembered this was something given to Mo Fan by Zhongkong. The question was, how did this kid have the time to prepare? He shouldn't have had the time to activate his magic equipment when suddenly attacked at this distance, unless he was already suspicious about Bai Yang's identity. After the bone scythe shield had blocked a heavy claw strike, it turned into numerous bone splinters as it dispersed into nothing. Mo Fan, who was knocked 10 or so meters away, also stabilized his body. Raising his head, Mo Fan's face was stern. The heaving of his chest displayed his current rage. As expected, this instructor Bai Yang did have a problem. "Fucking shit!" Mo Fan spat as he ruthlessly cursed. "Ha ha ha! Who would have thought? I can't help but be curious as to why you are suspicious about me. I'm your instructor, after all." Bai Yang began to madly laugh. The gentle and attractive appearance from before had now turned into a twisted lunatic, no longer having the admirable light which caused young women to be infatuated. At this kind of time, how could Mo Fan be in the mood to explain this kind of stuff to this spy of the Black Vatican? His gaze swept past his companions who were standing to the sides as he hastily shouted to them, "Be careful, this guy's summoned beasts are not alone." Instructor Bai Yang's face immediately sank. An ominous glint flashed in his eyes. On the other side of the bridge, two slowly wiggling shadows quickly flew out. Their particularly sharp, long, and narrow forelimbs were like two sickles chopping toward Zhang Xiaohou and He Yu, who were closest to them. Bai Yang's sudden betrayal came too quickly. The others were unable to react, much less to speak of being mindful of the two creatures that had jumped out from the two sides of the bridge. With a ghastly monkey face and an abnormal human body, its body was completely black. It looked as though it was wearing some kind of tight leather clothing. Extremely ugly, this was precisely the symbol of the Black Vatican, a dark beast monster. Mo Fan saw one of the dark beast monsters jumping toward Zhang Xiaohou. His heart began to beat fiercely. Currently, he really wanted to finish his star path in less than a second and directly turn that dark beast monster into dregs. However, his magic casting speed was not that fast. In the end, Zhang Xiaohou was still somewhat pure. He couldn't be like Mo Fan, who already had a wariness toward instructor Bai Yang. If it was any other student, then they also wouldn't have any bit of suspicion toward their own instructor. He wasn't able to cast his wind track this time, and when he turned around, he had already discovered that the incredibly ugly black creature had already pounced in front of him. Am I gonna die like this? Zhang Xiaohou was unable to believe this. He had gone through the dreadful 3-kilometer route of death with Brother Fan, and was close to arriving after overcoming great difficulties. In the end, he was going to die at the hands of his own instructor. Zhang Xiaohou closed his eyes. Puichi, the warm blood suddenly sprinkled over his face. Zhang Xiaohu's heart felt helpless. This animal has opened my chest. Its speed was so quick that I felt the blood sprinkling on my face before feeling my chest being shredded open. After one more second, Zhang Xiaohou still didn't feel any pain. He was puzzled as he opened his eyes. As he opened his eyes, he had discovered that the ghastly beast that was attacking him had been sent flying away and had slammed heavily into a motorcycle. I didn't die? Then this blood. Zhang Xiaohou turned his head around, his entire being stunned. That was a deathly pale face. It was cold and dismal, and it made people want to hold her in their arms. Blood was spurting from her body. It was warm. It was so warm that it caused Zhang Xiaohu's entire being to burn. Chapter 103 Battling Spirit Wolf Again. You. Zhang Xiaohou wanted to scream out from the depths of his throat. However, his throat was blocked by a fierce pain, unable to make a sound. Numerous water droplets were sprinkling in front of Zhang Xiaohou. They were like He Yu's life as they fell onto the ground and quickly dispersed. Wind track, wind track, wind track. Zhang Xiaohou tried to connect his star path while his heart was feeling a fierce pain, and at last, a wind coiled around his body. Using the wind track, Zhang Xiaohou frantically stole the completely bloodstained He Yu from the other dark beast monster's claws. Relying on flash steps, he carried He Yu as he darted to a location far away. However, the blood was also sprinkling all over the ground. It was completely unable to stop. A dark beast monster was specialized in slaughtering, capable of accurately finding a creature's arteries. Once it cut, the blood would certainly flow without stopping. Why did you use water barrier to protect me? You should have protected yourself. You're not even able to protect yourself, you blockhead. Mr. Shui, please hurry and save He Yu. I beg you, please save her. There must be a way. Shit, 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 I will slaughter you, bastard. The sound of the shouts fell into everyone's ears. Just as everyone never thought that Instructor Bai Yang was someone from the Black Vatican, they never thought that He Yu would protect Zhang Xiaohou like this. Captivating scarlet blood was everywhere. Upon seeing it, everyone's heart tightened. Zhang Xiaohou held He Yu, and He Yu looked back at him. Her pale face was turning purple. Her eyes were wide open. Her black pupils contained a mix of feelings in the last moments of her life. Perhaps it was a trace of gratification because she was able to finally cast water barrier in a critical situation and protect a person's life according to what Mr. Shui had said. There was also peace. The skinny boy in front of her risked his own life to save her during practicals, and today, she had also saved him. But most importantly, it was yearning. Like other girls, she had far too many wishes which hadn't been fulfilled yet. Ha ha ha, it seems like you brats have also progressed a bit. I thought that when the second dark beast monster made its move, the two of you would definitely lose your lives. I never thought that one of you would survive. However, your instructor, I, have taught you one more lesson, and that is to never trust someone that easily. Unfortunately, This could very well be the last class of your life, because none of you will live to cross this bridge. Bai Yang stood in the center as he shouted, looking quite demented. As he was talking about surviving, the two dark beast monsters once again pounced toward the other students. The dark beast monsters' physique was not much different from humans. Their speed was twice as fast as a colossal-eyed ape rat, and once they scuttled into a shadowy place, it would be too difficult to see their figure. This kind of excessively nimble creature could be called the executioner of rookie magicians. They were capable of killing you with a single attack before you could finish casting your magic, and they could easily avoid the frantic attack of a magician. Retreat, Shui Masheng shouted. Everyone had just experienced how formidable dark beast monsters were. Once they approached any of the students, the next moment, they could become like He-Yu, unable to stop bleeding. On the other side, the robust spirit wolf was precisely obstructing Mo Fan by standing in front of him. This savage creature most likely had hurt itself immensely after striking his shield and was unable to attack Mo Fan again for a short period of time. Nevertheless, it used its pair of vicious eyes to deathly stare at Mo Fan. Mo Fan was breathing fiercely, his chest heaving. After hearing Zhang Xiaohu's grieving scream, a raging fire began to fiercely burn within his abdomen. From He-Yu's perspective, seeing Instructor Bai Yang was equivalent to being safe. However, who would have thought that Instructor Bai Yang was actually even more ruthless than a magical beast? Seeing his face still ridiculing them, it made him really want to smash his fist into the man's face. Roar! The spirit wolf opened its mouth, and from within the depths of its throat, something was surging. Following the roar, a turbid airwave viciously drove toward Mo Fan. Flying sandstones. This was Spirit Wolf's special skill. Even if it could not use its claws, it could still attack the enemy from afar. The scathing yellow flying sandstones were flying over, but Mo Fan was already well prepared. He nimbly rolled to the side and quickly hid himself behind an abandoned van. The van's steel layer began to shriek as the flying sandstones hit its surface. The rocks penetrated through the van and left behind numerous holes. The entire van began to shake repeatedly. Mo Fan leaned against the van with his back. His eyes were already emitting purple radiance. This radiance turned increasingly stronger and began to form a beautiful, streaking purple star path around Mo Fan's body. The 7 stars were dazzling within the star path. They were transmitting lightning to each other and quickly condensed into a raging and twisting lightning pattern around Mo Fan's body. Hoo! Mo Fan let out a long breath. He turned around before the flying sandstones had completely stopped. He directly faced the spirit wolf. I slaughtered a thing like you a year ago, and today, I will kill you like a dog. Mo Fan said in rage, and in his eyes was not a single trace of fear. He raised one of his hands and suddenly clenched his fist. A command of lightning was passed. The agitated and unstable lightning elements in the air turned into an indignant sharp weapon as they fell on the spirit wolf. The spirit wolf attempted to evade, but Mo Fan had already predicted the place it would be when it dodged. Lightning Strike. Wrath Shock inherited the transitive effects of Lightning Strike, Mad Whip. As long as a single lightning arc came in contact with the spirit wolf, then the rest of the lightning strike would be absorbed into the target's body like a magnet as it was ferociously scourged and the lightning ruthlessly penetrated into its flesh. There were many purple lightning arcs. They covered the entire body of the spirit wolf, and it incessantly emitted a painful howl. The spirit wolf's movement capabilities immediately disappeared. It was no longer able to approach Mo Fan with a single step. Mo Fan coldly smiled. Not seconds after he cast Lightning Strike, a scarlet radiance flashed within his pupils. Not knowing when, his other hand was actually already holding a ball of flames. First, lightning, and then fire. The godforsaken spirit wolf was about to have a taste of the 2 magics that held the strongest power within the realm of elements. His anger was like fire and lightning. The ball of flames in his hands was thrown by him in anger. Everyone could see that the ball of fire burst was directly thrown toward the mouth of the spirit wolf that was howling in pain. After a great amount of practice and real experience, Mo Fan was able to cast the fire burst even more accurately. As expected, the small ball of fire immediately struck the head of the spirit wolf that was slightly raising its muzzle, and then floated into its mouth. Rupture. Mo Fan's gaze was like a torch as he said this. His control of the 3rd level of fire burst's rupture had achieved a complete synchronization. The small fireball did not look very strong at all. However, it ignited after Mo Fan's cry, and exploded mightily within the mouth of the spirit wolf. Chapter 104 I Want to Become Stronger. The strength of the rupturing wave of flames instantly burned into the spirit wolf's muzzle. You could distinctly see the spirit wolf's mouth bones severely deform, and furthermore, its jaws were quickly swallowed by the fierce flames. The fire didn't stop there. It tyrannically expanded down the spirit wolf's throat and crammed into the spirit wolf's abdomen. This caused its belly to immediately bulge. It looked as though it was going to explode. Boom! A loud sound finally erupted, and the vicious spirit wolf was turned into grilled, stinking meat by the rupture exploding inside it. Its body landed heavily in front of Bai Yang. Bai Yang's sardonic smile immediately turned stagnant. His gloominess fell to a terrifying level. His previous spirit wolf's bloodline was superior to this one, and he'd been able to nurture it into an extremely powerful summoned creature, but it was accidentally killed by a practical student. The killing that time could be said to have used all kinds of tricks. The spirit wolf this time was directly bombarded by his opponent's powerful dual elements magic. I admit that you are indeed different from the majority of the students whose limbs turn weak when they encounter a magical beast. You're not worse than any other veteran magicians. However, you will still die. I will use your corpse to feed my next summoned beast. Bai Yang covered his chest with one of his arms, his face ghastly pale as it twitched uncontrollably. In the end, that Bai Yang underestimated this student. Lightning strike, wrath shock and a fire burst. Rupture might be able to heavily wound a spirit wolf in normal circumstances, but would not be able to directly kill it. This student had his fire burst enter the mouth of the spirit wolf and instantly slaughtered the spirit wolf. This kind of handiwork was not something a normal student would think of, or was capable of doing. However, so what if the spirit wolf died? As long as he got his hands on the underground holy spring, his, Bai Yang's, status would be completely different. For a great summoner like him, by then, a tiny spirit wolf would no longer be good enough for his standards. You too, kill him. Bai Yang's gaze turned cold as he viciously ordered the two dark beast monsters. The dark beast monsters were chasing other people when they heard their master's command, and immediately turned toward Mo Fan. The dark beast monsters are much more nimble than the spirit wolf. They are able to directly jump from the roof of vehicles, and they could use the cars to continuously change their locations. The two dark beast monsters clearly knew how to cooperate to hunt for their prey. They divided to the two sides of Mo Fan. Even if Mo Fan used lightning strike to suppress one of them, the other dark beast monster would certainly pounce on Mo Fan and cut his throat. The two dark beast monsters were getting closer and closer. Mo Fan, who didn't have the bone scythe shield anymore, only had the time to complete a single magic star path. Mo Fan didn't have the time to think too much as he didn't have enough time. Mo Fan subconsciously condensed one more ball of fire. The rupturing effect of fire burst could maybe allow him to slightly dodge this. It was just that dealing with these two extremely fast dark beast monsters after that would be very hard to do. Mr. Shui, cast brilliant light. Mu Bai shouted toward Shui Mesheng from not too far away. Shui Mesheng glanced at Mu Bai, and realized his hands had a quickly condensing blue star radiance. The experienced and knowledgeable Shui Mesheng immediately understood and began to cast his own light magic without hesitation. Brilliant light, blind. If he properly cast this immensely strong radiance, it would be able to blind one of the magical beasts and make it lose its combat prowess. Feeling the strong radiance appearing, Bai Yang slowly turned his face to the other side, displaying some disdain. This kind of radiance didn't have the ability to wound anyone. If you didn't directly look at it, then you could quickly restore your vision. As for his two dark beast monsters, don't be stupid. They were creatures from the Black Vatican. They didn't have eyes. They were unable to feel the blinding effects of the radiance. Black Ice Chop. A voice was heard behind Bai Yang. In the next second, a tremendous cold intent came down the back of his neck. From the tip of the milky white radiance, a pitch-black sword emerged from nowhere. Its cold tip flickered as it emitted a piercing chill. It split open the air as it chopped down at Bai Yang's body. Bai Yang was actually very sharp, standing beside a car when he didn't have a summoned beast accompanying him so he could avoid any sneak attacks from the students. However, it didn't matter to the Black Ice Sword that there were things blocking its way. It directly chopped the car in two while at the same time splitting open Bai Yang's back. The cut was sharp and filled with power. It cleanly chopped apart Bai Yang's left shoulder. As the blood dripped down, the cut on his body froze under a layer of ice. Bai Yang slowly fell to the ground as he looked upwards, his face frozen in disbelief. He, a summoner who had tamed 3 summoned beasts, was actually killed by students who pissed their pants after seeing magical beasts just a year ago? Deathstrike magic equipment. Why did a student who hadn't even graduated yet have such a precious piece of magic equipment, and even use it in such a sudden manner? It was so sudden that he didn't even have the opportunity to use his own defensive magic equipment. The distracting radiance of Shui Musheng's spell began to dim. Mo Fan was able to see that the 2 dark beast monsters had suddenly stopped their movements amidst the brilliant light. The dark beasts were clutching their throats, their bodies twisting in pain. What stunned Mo Fan even more was that their pitch-black bodies looked like they had encountered something with a high temperature, as they slowly began to melt. Not even 5 seconds later, the 2 dark beast monsters who had wanted his life had dissolved into a vile black liquid that even emitted disgusting bubbles. The dark beast monsters are interlinked with their masters. If the master dies, they are also destroyed. This is why they are the Black Vatican's most devoted evil creatures, Shui Musheng explained as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. The other students walked over one by one, glancing at He Yu's corpse, and then at the 2 pools of dark liquid pus, their faces exhausted. After annihilating the magical beasts, they could perhaps come to connect with each other to a certain level. However, after these actions by Practical's instructor Bai Yang, it had shaken their trust in human nature. No one knew how long it would take before they could adapt to it. The Deathstrike magic equipment that my uncle gifted to me on my 18th birthday has finally been put to use, Mu Bai said with a bitter smile, as he saw everyone staring at him. Deathstrike magic equipment was an attack-type magical equipment. After activating it, it would be able to emit a huge burst of killing power, but the mana it used was equally large. At the same time, Deathstrike-type magic equipment was much more precious than magic armor. Even a magician was unable to buy it, much less common people. What Bai Yang really was unable to predict was that there would be a student among them that would be in possession of a Deathstrike magic tool. After all, even a wealthy family would not just casually give out this kind of magic tool to a student who hadn't graduated yet. No matter what, Mu Bai's Deathstrike tool had saved everyone. They might not have been able to deal with the extreme speed of the 2 dark beast monsters. Chapter 105 Drank it like water. Good job, Mu Bai. Zhao Kunsen jumped out from a corner, his face filled with excitement. That was scary. I feel like I will never trust another person again. Mo Fan let out a long breath and glanced toward the green tea. Oh, Mu Bai. This time, it was all thanks to the wealthy magic's 2nd generation. Without his extremely extravagant Deathstrike magic equipment, who knew how many of them would have died before they were able to get rid of this instructor Bai Yang? Are the others all right? Shui Musheng asked. The students hiding in the surroundings assembled one by one. Only Zhang Xiaohou was standing by the fence, completely spaced out. The battle has ended, and He Yu's blood has also run dry. Seeing the red blood puddle that was like a scarlet carpet, grief once again enveloped everyone. Monkey, let's go. Mo Fan walked up to Zhang Xiaohou. He didn't know what to say to comfort him. As Zhang Xiaohou saw Mo Fan, his state of mind seemed to collapse. Teardrops began to rush forth. Brother Fan, I want to become stronger. Zhang Xiaohou did his best to wipe the tears. He practically vowed as he growled, I will definitely become stronger. Zhang Xiaohou's unforgettable words were echoing in his ears. Mo Fan was feeling somewhat stunned, seeing this guy who was like a foolish brother to him. At the moment, he was crying like a little child. However, beneath the flowing blood, his heart was fiercely undergoing change. That's right, you are only able to protect the people next to you if you become stronger. After passing through the bridge, the light screen wall that was as tall as the city walls had finally entered everyone's sight. The remaining 8 people's tired faces squeezed out traces of a smile. This time, they were clearly able to see magicians who wore the Magic Association uniform guarding the place. The 3 kilometers of road was way longer than any of the experiences they'd had to go through in their 17 years of living. No matter what, they had still arrived. The main group is only half a kilometer away from us. I hope they can safely arrive here. Shui Musheng turned around to look behind them. Zhou Men, Xu Jiaoting, Wang Sanpeng, Zhang Lahua, and the others also nodded. They had gone through with their responsibility as the vanguard squad. After going through that kind of dangerous life and death road, they sincerely hoped that the main group would be able to smoothly arrive. They didn't want to see more lives wasted. "Who is Mo Fan?" asked a man with the symbol of the army as he walked up in front of everyone. "I am." Mo Fan raised his head, still dripping with sweat. He was exhausted. "Come this way. The chief wants to see you," the man said. Mo Fan nodded obediently and followed the man from the Magic Association toward a watchtower that was created by an earth magician. The watchtower was very tall. As they followed the coiling staircase upwards, they kept walking for a long time before they finally arrived at the top of the tower. At the very top was a spacious area. A fierce wind from the high altitude was blowing into this place. It was so strong that his cheeks felt painful. The watchtower didn't have a protective rail, yet a man with a clear windbreaker was standing there with his hands behind his back, his unruly hair moving along with the gale. To the left and right sides of the man were a few battle mages who were also wearing clear windbreakers. Their hoods were raised up, and their bodies were completely still as they stood at the very edges of the watchtower. They were not angry, but possessed a trace of power as they stood there like statues. Chief Zhongkong, who was standing in the middle, gave people a sense of admiration. This was very different from the shameless instructor Zhongkong who Mo Fan had met in the past. The row of 10 battle mages by Chief Zhongkong's sides were all emitting extremely powerful auras. They were all at least intermediate mages. They looked into the distance. Their gazes were like swords pointed toward the dome of Silver Commerce Tower, toward the ringleader behind the calamity of Bo City, the commander-level magical beast, Darkwing Wolf. "Chief, Mo Fan is here." The man saluted and then slowly retreated. Zhongkong didn't turn his head around. The entire watchtower entered a moment of silence. "Seeing you alive makes me very happy." Zhongkong's tone was no longer the same sloppy tone as he had before. Even saying the word happy did not have any sort of feeling to it. The current Zhongkong was not the same chief instructor that Mo Fan knew, or this could be the real him, dignified and aloof. "Do you know what I want to do the most when I see you?" Mo Fan asked. "Shower me with curses." Bai Yang being part of the Black Vatican did indeed surprise all of us. "Fortunately, you were suspicious of him, and you saved your own life," Zhongkong said evenly. Zhongkong already understood what had happened from the reports of his underlings, and Zhongkong had not expected any of it. Not even the army was able to sense the battle mage Bai Yang's evil heart. So why was Mo Fan suspicious of him? Did you even think about it? Back when I was at the cavern in Practical, protected by instructor Bai Yang, I saw the pond there had traces of being drunk by animals. It wasn't just a single one, and after that event, I asked instructor Bai if he had any other summoned beasts, and he replied he didn't. Over such an irrelevant thing, you assumed he was a problem? Zhongkong laughed involuntarily. The sudden berserking spirit wolf back then was also a problem. In fact, I also wasn't willing to believe that instructor Bai was a spy, and I also wasn't able to confirm it. I only put it at the back of my head. Who would have known that he would actually take actions against us? Mo Fan replied. Mo Fan was actually only somewhat suspicious. If he really was sure there was a problem, then he would have warned the surrounding people the instant he saw instructor Bai. Furthermore, Mo Fan didn't calculate on the appearance of the dark beast monsters. Where's the holy underground spring, then? Zhongkong didn't want to continue discussing that spy as he switched to the most important topic. I was thirsty, so I drank it, Mo Fan replied playfully. Chief Zhongkong was standing by the edge of the watchtower, and almost slipped to his death. The dignified aura he was emitting just now was completely gone. Zhongkong turned around as he looked at Mo Fan with his eyes wide. Shit, are you messing with me? Are you regarding the underground holy spring like Nongfu spring water, and drank it when you were thirsty? This is the genuine article of 1,000 years of Bo City. Even if it isn't as miraculous as it was back in the days due to the passage of time, it is still a yearned for cultivation treasure of the magicians in this country. Yet, it was drunk by this kid like water? This is not the time to joke around. Chief Zhongkong's expression was solemn as he stared at Mo Fan.